Every time you check your bank account, you're not just looking at numbers, you're collapsing quantum possibilities into fixed reality through the most powerful force in the universe, your observation. The way you see money literally determines the money you see. This isn't metaphor or wishful thinking. This is the observer effect, one of the most established principles in quantum physics, and when you understand how to apply it to your finances, you gain the power to transform your financial reality by transforming how you observe it. Subscribe now if you're ready to discover how changing your observation changes your manifestation. The Hidden Voice has been waiting to teach you the most practical application of quantum physics that exists: quantum accounting. Right now, as you think about checking your account balance, notice what happens in your body. If you feel a tightness, a dread, a bracing for disappointment, you're about to collapse quantum possibilities into the same limited reality you've been experiencing. But if you can learn to observe your finances from a different quantum state, with curiosity instead of fear, with potential instead of limitation, with expansion instead of contraction, you literally change what manifests as your financial experience. The observer effect proves that reality doesn't exist independently of observation. At the quantum level, particles exist in all possible states simultaneously until the moment they're observed. Your bank balance exists in quantum potential until you observe it with a specific frequency of consciousness. Fear-based observation collapses abundance possibilities into scarcity experiences. But consciousness-based observation collapses scarcity possibilities into abundance experiences. Part 1. The Quantum Mechanics of Financial Observation. In the famous double-slit experiment, scientists discovered that particles behave differently when they're being observed than when they're not. When unobserved, particles exist as waves of pure possibility, able to be in multiple states simultaneously. But the moment observation occurs, these waves of possibility collapse into a single, definite reality. The act of observation doesn't just record reality, it creates reality. Your financial life operates according to the same quantum principles. Before you check your account, before you open your bills, before you calculate your expenses, your money exists in a quantum state of infinite possibility. There are probability waves for abundance, probability waves for scarcity, probability waves for unexpected income, probability waves for financial challenges. All these possibilities exist simultaneously in the quantum field until your observation collapses them into experience. The critical insight that changes everything is this: it's not just the act of observation that matters, it's the quality of your observation. The frequency of consciousness you bring to the moment of observation determines which probability wave collapses into your experienced reality. When you observe your finances from fear, anxiety, or desperation, you collapse the probability waves that match fear, anxiety, and desperation. When you observe from curiosity, appreciation, or potential, you collapse probability waves that match curiosity, appreciation, and potential. Most people have trained themselves to observe money from the frequency of limitation. They approach their bank balance expecting it to be insufficient. They open bills anticipating problems. They think about their financial future from anxiety about whether they'll have enough. This consistent observation from limitation consciousness creates a quantum field around their finances that can only manifest experiences that match limitation. But quantum physics reveals that this limitation isn't fixed, it's chosen through unconscious observation patterns. Every glance at your account balance is a moment of quantum creation. Every thought about money is an act of observation that influences what money you'll see. Every feeling you have about your finances is collapsing possibilities into probabilities and probabilities into experiences. The observer effect also explains why financial visualization and affirmations often fail. If you visualize abundance while observing your current reality from scarcity consciousness, the scarcity observation is stronger and more consistent than the abundance visualization. Your moment-to-moment observation of actual money carries more quantum weight than your occasional imagination of different money. This is why some people can maintain positive attitudes about money but continue experiencing financial limitation. They're consciously thinking positive thoughts while unconsciously observing their finances through the lens of not enough. The unconscious observation pattern overrides the conscious positive thinking because observation is more fundamental than thought in quantum mechanics. Observation collapses reality. Thought just comments on reality. The revolutionary understanding is that you can change your financial experience by changing how you observe your current financial experience. You don't have to wait for your bank balance to improve to observe it differently. You can observe it differently right now, and that different observation will begin collapsing different possibilities into your future financial experience. When you understand money as quantum rather than static, every financial interaction becomes an opportunity for conscious observation rather than unconscious reaction. Paying bills becomes quantum observation that can either reinforce limitation or expand possibility. Receiving income becomes quantum observation that can either confirm scarcity patterns or establish abundance patterns. Checking account balances becomes quantum observation that either strengthens old financial realities or creates new ones. The observer effect reveals that you're not a passive victim of your financial circumstances. You're an active participant in creating your financial circumstances through the quality of your observation. This understanding transforms financial struggle from something happening to you into something happening through you, which means you have the power to change it by changing how you observe it. Part 2. The traditional observation trap. The way most people observe money guarantees the perpetuation of financial limitation. They've been unconsciously trained to observe their finances through what I call deficit observation, constantly looking for what's missing, what's insufficient, what's threatening. This observation pattern creates a quantum field that can only manifest more deficit because that's the reality their observation keeps collapsing into existence. Deficit observation shows up in predictable patterns. When you check your bank balance, your attention immediately goes to whether there's enough. When you pay bills, you observe from the frequency of money leaving rather than services received. When you think about your financial future, you observe from anxiety about what might go wrong rather than curiosity about what might go right. When opportunities appear, you observe them through the lens of too good to be true, or I can't afford this, rather than how does this serve my expansion? This observation pattern is so automatic that most people don't realize they're doing it. They think they're just being realistic about money when they're actually practicing quantum observation that keeps creating the same limited reality they're trying to escape. Every moment of deficit observation sends a clear signal to the quantum field. Show me more evidence that money is scarce, that opportunities are limited, that financial security is uncertain. The emotional frequency of deficit observation is equally destructive to quantum creation. Fear-based observation sends chaotic signals to the quantum field that result in chaotic financial experiences. Anxiety-based observation creates unstable probability patterns that manifest as unpredictable financial ups and downs. Resentment-based observation generates resistance in the quantum field that blocks financial flow. Desperation-based observation creates quantum static that prevents clear manifestation of any desired financial outcomes. Deficit observation also affects your perception of opportunities and solutions that are already present in your life. When you observe from scarcity consciousness, you literally cannot see abundance opportunities that exist in your quantum field. Your observation filters are set to scarcity frequency, so only scarcity-matching experiences make it through to your awareness. The opportunities for greater income, the possibilities for expense reduction, the potential for investment growth, all exist in your quantum field but remain invisible to deficit observation. Most people compound the deficit observation trap by sharing their financial limitations with others, which amplifies the observation through collective agreement. When you discuss how expensive things are, how hard money is to make, how uncertain the economy is, you're not just expressing opinions, you're engaging in group quantum observation that strengthens limitation patterns for everyone involved. These conversations create collective quantum fields that make financial struggle seem more real and more justified. The media and cultural conditioning reinforce deficit observation by constantly presenting stories about financial crisis, economic uncertainty, and money scarcity. When you consume this content, you're not just getting information. You're practicing deficit observation that aligns your quantum field with global limitation patterns. Your consciousness becomes entrained to observe money through the frequency of problem, crisis, and insufficiency. Traditional financial education often reinforces deficit observation by focusing on managing limitation rather than creating abundance. Budgeting, debt reduction, and expense cutting all operate from the fundamental observation that there isn't enough money, so you must control and restrict to survive. While these strategies can provide temporary relief, they reinforce the quantum observation patterns that created the financial limitation in the first place. The deficit observation trap is particularly insidious because it feels responsible and realistic. Society has taught you that observing money through rose-colored glasses is naive and dangerous. But quantum physics reveals the opposite. Observing money through scarcity-colored glasses is what creates and perpetuates the very scarcity you're trying to avoid. What seems like realistic observation is actually limitation-creating observation. Breaking free from the deficit observation trap requires recognizing that your current way of observing money isn't neutral or objective, it's creative and generative. Your observation isn't just noticing what's there, it's collapsing what will be there. Once you understand observation as creation rather than just perception, you can begin practicing quantum observation patterns that create abundance rather than perpetuate limitation. Part 3. The Quantum Accounting Method. Quantum accounting isn't traditional bookkeeping. It's a revolutionary approach to observing your finances that changes the quantum field around your money and creates new possibilities for abundance to manifest. Instead of observing your money from the frequency of what is, you observe from the frequency of what's becoming. Instead of looking at static numbers, you see dynamic potential. Instead of focusing on current limitations, you observe expanding possibilities. Step 1. The quantum state preparation before engaging with any financial information, bank balances, bills, investment statements. Spend 3 minutes preparing your quantum observation state. Sit quietly and breathe deeply until you feel calm and centered. Remind yourself that you're about to engage in quantum observation that will influence what manifests in your financial future. Set the conscious intention to observe from possibility rather than limitation, from potential rather than deficit, from expansion rather than contraction. This preparation isn't optional. It's the foundation that determines whether your observation collapses abundance possibilities or scarcity possibilities. Just as a scientist calibrates instruments before making measurements, you must calibrate your consciousness before making financial observations that will affect your quantum field. Step 2. The potential-based viewing. When you look at your account balance, don't just see the current number. Observe the potential for that number to grow. Instead of thinking $1,247 and feeling lack, observe $1,247 with unlimited potential for increase. Instead of focusing on what you can't afford with the current balance, focus on what's possible as this balance expands. Instead of anxiety about whether it's enough, feel curiosity about how it will multiply. This isn't denial of current reality. It's quantum observation that includes current reality within a context of expanding possibility. You're not pretending you have more money than you do. You're observing the money you have from the frequency that magnetizes more money rather than the frequency that repels it. Step 3. The gratitude growth integration. As you observe each financial asset, checking account, savings, investments, even cash in your wallet, simultaneously feel appreciation for what exists and excitement for its growth potential. I appreciate this $50 and I'm excited to see how it expands. I'm grateful for this investment balance and curious about how it will multiply. This dual observation of appreciation plus anticipation creates a quantum field that honors current abundance while magnetizing greater abundance. Gratitude alone can become static if it isn't paired with growth expectation. Growth expectation alone can become grasping if it isn't paired with current appreciation. The combination creates the perfect quantum observation frequency for financial expansion. Step 4. The solution-focused bill review. When observing bills and expenses, practice solution-focused observation rather than problem-focused observation. Instead of, "This electric bill is too expensive," observe, "I wonder what opportunities will appear to easily handle this expense." Instead of, "I can't afford this car payment," observe, "I'm curious how my income will expand to make this payment feel easy." Instead of anxiety about upcoming expenses, feel anticipation about the resources that will appear to meet them. This observation shift changes your bills from quantum anchors that hold you in limitation to quantum catalysts that stimulate abundance creation. Every expense becomes a reason for the universe to organize greater income rather than evidence that you don't have enough money. Step 5. The Opportunity Scanning Protocol. Train yourself to observe your financial landscape for opportunities rather than just problems. When reviewing bank statements, look for patterns that reveal income-increasing possibilities. When paying bills, notice service providers who might need services you could provide. When observing expenses, identify areas where you could create value for others while reducing costs for yourself. This opportunity scanning observation literally changes what you see in your financial world. People operating from deficit observation see only problems, limitations, and reasons they can't improve their finances. People practicing quantum observation see solutions, possibilities, and reasons abundance is expanding toward them. Step 6. The future memory creation. During your quantum accounting sessions, spend time observing your financial future as if it's a memory you're recalling rather than a goal you're reaching toward. I remember when my savings account reached $50,000. I recall how good it felt when my income doubled. I can almost remember the relief of being completely debt-free. This future memory observation collapses timeline possibilities that make these outcomes feel inevitable rather than impossible. Step 7. The Quantum Transaction Recording. Keep a quantum money journal, where you record not just financial transactions but your quantum observations about each transaction. When money comes in, note the consciousness you were in when it arrived. When money goes out, record the frequency you paid from. When opportunities appear, document the observation state that made them visible. This tracking reveals the correlation between your observation patterns and your manifestation results, helping you refine your quantum accounting practice. The quantum accounting method transforms your relationship with money from passive observation of static circumstances to active participation in dynamic creation. Every glance at your finances becomes a moment of conscious quantum observation that influences what you'll see in future glances. Every bill becomes an opportunity to practice abundance observation. Every income becomes confirmation that your quantum observation is working. Part 4. Living from Quantum Financial Observation. After months of practicing quantum accounting, your entire financial experience transforms. You're no longer someone who anxiously checks account balances hoping they'll be sufficient. You're someone who observes financial information from such a stable frequency of abundance consciousness that sufficiency expands naturally to meet your observation. Money responds to your attention by flowing in patterns that match the quality of attention you give it. The calm confidence emergence. The most immediate change is the profound calm that develops around all financial activities. Checking account balances becomes as emotionally neutral as checking the weather. Interesting information observed from curiosity rather than anxiety. Paying bills becomes a conscious practice of appreciating services received while anticipating the income that makes payment effortless. Unexpected expenses become opportunities to observe how quickly solutions appear when you're not panicking about problems. This calm confidence isn't detachment or denial. It's the natural result of understanding that your observation participates in creating what you observe. When you know that anxious observation creates more circumstances to be anxious about, while abundant observation creates more circumstances to feel abundant about, you naturally choose abundant observation because it serves your goals rather than sabotaging them. The synchronicity amplification. Living from quantum financial observation dramatically increases the meaningful coincidences and synchronicities in your money life. Money appears exactly when you need it through channels you didn't expect. Opportunities arise through conversations that seemed casual but were actually perfectly orchestrated. Expenses decrease through unexpected discounts, refunds, or changed circumstances that happen to align perfectly with your needs. These synchronicities don't feel miraculous when you understand quantum mechanics. They feel like the natural result of observation that aligns with abundance rather than scarcity. Your quantum observation sets up probability patterns in the field, and the field responds by organizing circumstances that match those patterns. The universe isn't bending its rules for you, it's following its rules in response to your consciousness. The effortless income expansion. Perhaps the most remarkable change is how naturally your income begins increasing when you practice quantum observation consistently. Raises appear without you requesting them. New income streams emerge through opportunities that feel obvious once they arrive. Existing work becomes more profitable through efficiencies and improvements that seem to happen by themselves. This income expansion occurs because quantum observation of abundance potential creates magnetic attraction for abundance manifestation. Instead of observing your current income as not enough, you observe it as growing toward perfect sufficiency. The universe responds to this observation by organizing circumstances that fulfill your quantum expectation of expansion. The investment intelligence, your relationship with investments, business opportunities, and financial growth becomes naturally wise rather than emotionally reactive. From quantum observation consciousness, you can sense which opportunities align with abundance patterns and which ones arise from scarcity programming. You make decisions from calm knowing rather than desperate hoping or fearful avoiding. This investment intelligence emerges because quantum observation clears the emotional static that usually clouds financial judgment. When you're not observing from anxiety about losing money or desperation about making money, your natural intelligence can assess opportunities clearly and choose paths that serve your long-term abundance rather than your short-term fears. The generous circulation. One of the most beautiful aspects of living from quantum financial observation is how naturally generous you become without feeling financially threatened. When you observe money from abundance consciousness, sharing feels like circulation rather than depletion. You tip well because it feels good, not because you're trying to manipulate the universe. You give to causes you care about because abundance wants to flow through you, not because you're following prosperity formulas. This generosity accelerates your abundance manifestation because generous observation creates quantum fields that magnetize more to be generous with. The universe doesn't just reflect your consciousness about what you receive, it reflects your consciousness about what you give. Generous observation patterns create abundance patterns that support increased generosity. The family field transformation. Your quantum observation practice affects everyone in your household, even if they don't consciously understand what's happening. Family members begin feeling less anxious about money because they're living in a quantum field of abundance observation rather than scarcity observation. Children absorb different messages about money by witnessing your calm confidence rather than financial stress. Partners feel safer discussing financial goals because the conversations happen from possibility rather than limitation. This family field transformation occurs because quantum observation creates environmental frequencies that influence everyone who enters your space. Your abundance consciousness becomes contagious, lifting the financial frequency of everyone whose life intersects with yours. The mastery integration. Eventually, quantum observation becomes so natural that you forget you're doing anything special. Abundance observation becomes your default pattern rather than a conscious practice. Looking at money from potential rather than limitation feels more comfortable than the old deficit observation patterns. You've literally retrained your nervous system to observe finances from the frequency that creates more abundance rather than the frequency that perpetuates limitation. This mastery isn't reached through perfection but through consistency. Each time you choose abundant observation over deficit observation, you strengthen neural pathways that make abundance observation easier. Each quantum accounting session builds momentum that makes the next session feel more natural. Each experience of manifesting through conscious observation increases your confidence in the process. Part 5. The Permanent Observer Transformation. You've discovered that changing how you see money literally changes the money you see. You've practiced quantum accounting until abundant observation feels more natural than deficit observation. Now we establish this transformation so permanently that unconscious scarcity observation becomes impossible, and you live as someone who naturally observes money from the frequency that magnetizes more money. The master observer integration stand in a space where you feel your connection to the quantum field that responds to your observation. You are no longer someone who accidentally observes money from limitation. You are someone who consciously observes money from abundance. You are no longer someone who lets unconscious observation patterns create unwanted financial experiences. You are someone who uses quantum observation to create desired financial experiences. Place your hands over your eyes for a moment, then lower them as you open your eyes, symbolically acknowledging that what you see is what you get in the quantum realm of money. Your observation isn't neutral, it's creative. Your attention isn't passive, it's generative. Your consciousness isn't separate from your circumstances. It's the foundation from which your circumstances emerge. The Eternal Abundance Observer Declaration speak these words with the authority of someone who understands the quantum mechanics of money. I am the observer who collapses abundance possibilities into abundant experiences. Every time I look at money, I see it from the frequency that multiplies it. Every time I observe my finances, I observe from the consciousness that expands them. I no longer observe money from fear, anxiety, or limitation because I understand that fearful observation creates fearful financial experiences. I observe money from curiosity, appreciation, and potential because abundant observation creates abundant financial experiences. My observation is my creation. My attention is my manifestation. My consciousness is the quantum field that organizes money around the frequency I embody when I observe it. I am the observer effect in action, consciously choosing what I collapse into reality through the quality of my observation. The quantum legacy creation. Your mastery of quantum observation creates a legacy that extends far beyond your personal financial transformation. Every person who witnesses your calm relationship with money begins to question whether financial anxiety is necessary. Every individual who observes your abundant observation begins to consider whether different observation might create different results. Commit to being a demonstration of conscious observation. I commit to observing money from abundance consciousness so consistently that others begin to wonder if there's a different way to relate to finances. I will demonstrate through my observation practice that financial reality responds to consciousness rather than being fixed by circumstances. The Field Partnership Commitment. Make this commitment to the quantum field that responds to your observation. I commit to honoring you as the creative medium through which my observation becomes experience. I will never again unconsciously observe money from limitation, because I understand that limitation observation creates limitation experience. I commit to using my observation power responsibly, knowing that every glance at money is a moment of quantum creation. I will observe from the frequency that serves my highest good and the highest good of everyone whose life is touched by my abundance. The Infinite Expansion Protocol. As your mastery of quantum observation stabilizes, each observation becomes an opportunity for even greater abundance. Creation. Install these permanent practices for continuous expansion. Daily observation calibration. Each morning, set your observation frequency to abundance before engaging with any financial information. Quantum transaction awareness. Every time money moves in or out of your life, observe it from growth and circulation rather than gain and loss. Possibility-based planning. When making financial plans, observe your future from potential rather than limitation, from expansion rather than restriction. The ultimate observer recognition. If you understand that observation creates experience and you're ready to observe money from abundance rather than limitation, write this recognition in the comments. I am the observer effect in action. I change how I see money, and I change the money I see. The ultimate truth. The observer effect proves that reality doesn't exist independently of observation, and your money is no exception. Every time you look at your finances, you're not just recording what's there. You're collapsing quantum possibilities into experienced reality. Fear-based observation creates fearful financial experiences. Abundance-based observation creates abundant financial experiences. The choice of how to observe is always yours, and that choice determines what you'll see. Change how you see money, and you change the money you see. The quantum field is waiting for your conscious observation to show you exactly what you're ready to experience.